What's up, everyone? Welcome to today's video. Welcome to the Video Game Fight School channel. Thank you very much for tuning in. So, pardon my voice, I got a little cold, but I wanted to talk about God of War Ragnarok from the perspective of having played somewhere around 10 to 15 hours of the game. Now, this is something that I think is probably going to be controversial, but here's one thing about video games. We all have our preferences, and honestly, whether it's controversial or not, I really don't care, because at the end of the day, it's one of those things where, you buy a video game, you play it, and you give your impressions on the game as you're going, or maybe when you're done with the game. I think it all depends on how that is. The reason I even haven't beaten the game, even haven't played dedicatedly, is because I found out that I'm actually a different kind of gamer for a video game at this kind of pacing. I realized that when I play condensed hours, I eventually start to, in a sense, get tired and get worn out by some of the elements in the game, which we'll talk about in this video. Also, there will be some spoiler footage from the game for a boss fight, and I'm not necessarily interested in talking about that boss fight, but I wanted to use the footage just so that some of you who are already into the game or who have played the game would see that I'm actually genuinely telling you that I've actually played a good amount of the game. So beware, and maybe listen, maybe connect your phone to a speaker if you're interested or whatever, so that you don't go yell at me for, showing spoilers without warning you. Now, here's the thing. This second game, and new footage is about to show starting right now, has some elements that I really enjoy. But the only thing is, the elements that I'm not really a fan of, they continue to rear their head. The game, its pacing, it's so slow. I don't understand why they would have traded a lot of the actionable aspects of the game from the first side into a lot more of the storytelling and cinematics. And honestly, it really did wear me out to the point where I had to, in some cases, do things that I hate doing while playing a game, which is basically stop when I have the time and I've dedicated and segmented the time to play the game and give my feedback to you guys, which I guess it's fine. You could go touch grass a little bit. But, this is supposed to be a game unlike the first one, which kind of just kept you in. The story was so well done. A lot of things were well done. And this one, yes, its story is well done. And I almost think you could probably say the story was overdone in most cases. There are times where you just have a lot of these elements in terms of the storytelling, and you're like, man, I just think I could have figured that out by myself, because the game is just exposition heavy. Now, when you get to gameplay, though, the game reminds you of everything that made the very first game wonderful. It gives you that feel like, yeah, man, I'm playing another God of War game. Kratos is the beast. He's the boss. You get to do your combat. You get to do your puzzles. You get to do your exploration and your, traversal, which causes you to think. Great sides of the game. It's the highs and then the lows that don't seem to almost balance out for the most part. And this is where I'm just having a little bit of disenfranchisement in a sense with this second, game. The first game I played extensively, even got it on PC so that I could play it more and enjoy it. I mean, what a game the first game it was. It won Game of the Year. I cannot believe or see how reviewers called this second game a masterpiece. It did not stay dedicated to the things that made the first game a masterpiece. The first game was a masterpiece. It's not easy to make two at the same time, but I definitely get it. I see where people are probably maybe, excited by a lot of the presentation, which is 10 out of 10, by the way. The presentation of this game has always been 10 out of 10. Don't get me wrong. I like Cory Barlog, the creative director. That is the only AAA creative director that I think I have, just a different level of respect and admiration for. He is the one that is the guy that would go into conversations with fans on, social media, Twitter, talking about things as genuine as he thinks. Even though I don't agree with a lot of what he talks about or whatever it is, I still really do respect him very well. So it's kind of hard for me to, say these things that I'm saying, not just from the fact that it's just going to be controversial, but because this is from somebody that I respect. But here's the thing. These are just impressions at as a specific point in the game. And that's exactly what I wanted to make sure that I tagged this out, because this is not my conclusive, impressions. These are not my conclusive thoughts overall for the whole package. I'm just pointing out some of the weaknesses that I see for the game. I think if I were to maybe make a guess, the game would hit a 8.5 to 9 out of 10 for me. If I were to give a good guess, I'm not gonna give it a 10. There's no way I'm giving it a 10 because the game broke some of my immersion with some of the decisions that were made. I think there was just so much done here that was almost unnecessary, but I think it's probably something to have showcased elements and in-depth aspect that will complement a second playthrough, which is where I'm dreading, because I'm like, man, there's so many good things here and I want to get to them a second time, but then there are the things that are stopping me that are causing me to maybe not want to touch this second side of things. But it is what it is, though. I don't know why I have these mixed feelings. I want to hear your thoughts in the comment section. Maybe you have some tips for me. Maybe you have some advice, some common sense for me to be able to approach this game in a different way. Maybe, there are things I'm missing. Or maybe it's just, nostalgia glasses that I'm looking at this second game from, because the first game is my jam, man. I mean, and I don't want to fall into that trap of getting stuck in the first game, because I see it happen all the time. Gamers will get stuck. They'll get stuck in the first game. They'll never be able to leave the first game, and all they're going to do is keep saying the second game is not as good. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my time, right? That's basically what you need to do, number one. And number two, I'm going to keep my expectations realistic, because how much more can you do in 4 years? And somebody like me who's into game development, who's been paying very close attention to game development, I know that this is the best possible game you can get out of a sequel in 4 years, and actually a darn impressive one. The workload, the amount of stuff put in here is nothing short of gaming wonder if you were to actually shake it down to the core aspects. So I think this is more of a personal thing than anything else. This is not 100% the quality or nature of the game. I think it's more like 90% me and then 10% the game at this point. But I will also look forward to finishing the game and getting to some places that some of you have actually commended are the strong points of Ragnarok overall. But thanks so much for watching and for listening. I really appreciate you guys' time and audience, and hopefully we can talk in another video and continue to discuss more about God of War Ragnarok as time goes on. Talk to you soon. Peace out.